Hey, wrestling fans, F and True followers, and members of the YWC. Brian Crazy,
JC Styles,
and we are F and True Wrestling. We are back with our TNA Impact Wrestling review from 6/23/2011. I think they really kept the momentum going on this show.
I don't know, it seemed, after last week's Impact, it was such an epic Impact, and then out coming off a Slammiversary. Excuse me.
Hairball.
It was coming off Slammiversary, and it was just epic. Kurt Angle's big, announcement for the Olympics for next year. And then this week, I don't know. It seemed like it was like the same old stuff. Sting, Bischoff, Anderson promo, and I was like, oh. It was like it started off slow, and then I want to say with like a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes in, it started to actually catch me.
Well, I think we'll jump right into the show, but I think there was a lot of difference in the promos tonight. I mean, the Anderson promo was a lot shorter than usual.
Yeah.
Sting showed a lot more, basically insanity, just to sum up the look in his face.
Sting?
Yeah. We'll jump right into that.
It just looked like a cracked out, Joker. He looked like the Joker put his face paint on.
I mean, his eyes were he was just, something snapped in Sting. And this is what we need to see out of Sting. If, Sting's come back, and, for what might be his last run in TNA, we need to see this out of Sting. We need to see this ferociousness. We need to see this just doesn't give a fuck. He's going to do what it takes. Yeah. And the thing about it, too, is he's almost on a mission now. And, tying into, he is a born-again Christian, kind of tying into that, it almost kind of has, religious overtones, if you really look at it, that he needs to turn Hulk Hogan back into the good person he once was.
I actually, a little FYI, I was actually doing a little bit of reading earlier this afternoon regarding Sting. Earlier this year, when WWE was doing the whole promo for the return of The Undertaker, and so many of us thought it was actually going to be Sting coming to WWE, Sting actually touched bases with the WWE and said, and they talked about the whole Undertaker streak thing, and there was no... When Sting re-signed with TNA, it was just a little bit too late for Sting to go to WWE, to sign with WWE, because WWE took too long to get the contract to Sting. Sting was actually
I think I said this. Saw the same article you did, and kind of what the way it sounded from what I read is that the WWE did contact him, and Sting was heavily considering going up north. Yes. It really wasn't too much discussed. I mean, I guess it was touched upon, the whole...
And Sting was all for going.
Well, maybe. Well, he was sort of. He considered it heavily, but at the end of the day, he did pick TNA. But...
Which I see next year, or maybe the year after, I do see Sting having one match in WWE.
It's quite a possibility, but I don't know. Sting has got such a great place in TNA right now, and he's showcased, and he's used on a weekly basis. He's not just signed to a Legends contract and is inducted into the Hall of Fame, which I'm saying is an incredible honor for any athlete that makes it there, but Sting still has go in him, and I think he proved that tonight with the opening.
But I do think that he does still have go with him in him. The ability to go. Is just how much now is this taking a toll on his body? Now he's got to start taking some time and saying, okay, well, I want to wrestle, but I got to take time in between my matches. I can't be wrestling week in and week out, traveling the world.
He's wrestled the last 3 weeks in a row, and I think he's doing all right. And I think Kurt Angle's even reaching that point, guys, to be honest. He's his new contract that he's looking into signing, he's looking at backing off of pretty much all the house shows, and he's just going to be wrestling at the Impacts. Yeah. And it's going to lighten his schedule a lot. The guy's been doing this solid professional wrestling for the last 11 years. Yeah. He debuted in 2000 in the WWE. Actually, he debuted in late 99. Against Shawn Stasiak.
I don't know.
I think it was Shawn Stasiak at the Survivor Series.
I have to look into that.
I'll have to look into that. That's just off the top of my head. And quick note, Shawn Stasiak did wear the same tights through his whole WWE and WCW run. Excuse me. So we move into for TNA. So we see the Sting Bischoff promo. Bischoff's basically, like we were touching on, he's trying to reach to the real Hulk Hogan, the Hulk Hogan that, was wholesome, Hulkamania, not Hollywood Hogan that's, been running Immortal and took over TNA. Then he attacks Bischoff, and he drops him with the Scorpion Death Drop, and then puts him in the Scorpion Death Lock.
After putting the face paint on.
Yes, and then eat the same face paint that we've seen done to Anderson 2 weeks ago, and Hollywood Hogan last week.
Yes.
And then we move into the first match of the night. This is part of the Bound for Glory series. We have Bully Ray go against Scott Steiner. It was alright.
It was decent.
Steiner can still move, man. Steiner did a nice overhead suplex.
Oh, yeah, he can still go with stuff like that. When it comes to him using his power, he can't. But like when it goes for him to try to move his arm to do like a clothesline, he can't because he's got too much.
He's got a lot of muscle.
He's got too much muscle for him to move. I'm surprised at the friggin' the doors at the Impact Zone. He doesn't have to actually turn sideways to walk through. The guy's so fucking huge.
Steiner is a big guy, but you know he fills a certain niche. You know, you have your lightweights, you have your middleweights, you have your heavyweights. He's definitely a super heavyweight. I mean, he fills a certain niche. Bully Ray's a big guy too, so you saw two big guys basically go at it. Steiner really had the upper hand. He had him locked in the recliner. Referee was knocked out, Jackson James, if you guys don't know, who is really Garrett Bischoff, Eric Bischoff's son. And I'm surprised that hasn't come out in the storyline yet. That's why. You remember all those controversial finishes last year? I was really surprised that didn't come out in the storyline then. But I guess a lot of people were actually PO'd that they didn't know that was Bischoff's son, and he kind of got to push the TV right away. But, you know, the kid seems like he's good, does a good job as a referee, and a lot of people don't realize referees help run matches out there. But then we see, you know, the referee's back up. Before the referee gets up, we see Bully Ray grab the chain. He uses the chain against Steiner and picks up the win.
Cheap, but he picks up the win.
Effective. Any means necessary. I mean, when you're a heel, that's what it comes down to. Any means necessary. Post-match, there's a promo where we see Steiner's just ripping pissed off. He's backstage. He's flinging the chain around against the Immortal guy. Well, he's trying to hit him. He doesn't. And they're saying, hey, Bully Ray's, come on, Scott, join Immortal. You know, you, Hollywood Hogan, Bischoff, me, you know, the whole crew.
Which is really not much of Immortal left.
But you know what? Steiner, Hogan, and Bischoff, I mean, that's NWO right there. I mean, I know it's not NWO in the sense of the Outsiders, but that's NWO all day. And I don't know, I'd kind of like to see it. It would be a nice program for Steiner, I think. It'd be, you know, it would really bring a little bit of legitimacy to Immortal, because they would be like more of the Legends group again, kind of like the Main Event Mafia was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Different kind of yes and no, different kind of Legends. But you know, the thoughts are always turning in this head, man. And so basically, Steiner drops the chain and says, you know what, I'll think about it. He walks out pissed off because now he's got something on his mind. And, you know, Scotty Steiner doesn't like to think too much.
No. Except for give me another Roy.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's natural muscle.
Oh, yeah, bullshit.
I love Steiner, though. I followed him for years, man. Him and the dog-faced gremlin, Rick.
He must have, like, pits, like, for balls. Like, he doesn't have balls anymore. He just has two little tiny pits because the fucking... Dude. The guy, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm 450 pounds. The guy's probably like almost 3/4 of what I weigh, with just muscle. And it's like the guy's like, how does the guy jerk off? Like you know, I mean,
that's a big bad booty daddy. I don't think he needs to jerk off.
I'm sorry, but if a girl saw him running at, I don't think so. No. Not all girls want big ass muscle, oily guys. Maybe like Randy Orton type muscle, but not no. Maybe John Cena muscle, but not no.
Yo, that's the funniest thing ever.
Scott Steiner.
As soon as you said big oily guys, the first guy you mentioned was Randy Orton.
Like they want a nice, slim down.
When you think of Randy Orton now, what do you think of? Him sitting at that table in that commercial, right?
Yes.
All oiled up for no reason.
Also, that's another thing. Kmart is supposed to be promoting WWE events, and yet they got the weakest wrestling WWE figure collection stock in.
General Toys. You know, we're looking for stuff. He's building a collection. I get stuff for my kids. You know, we're in there looking. Okay, if they're supposed to be promoting them, shouldn't they have like merchandise, like T-shirts and hats?
We're at 9 minutes.
All right, that's cool. So,
stop much.
We've gone high-tech here at F and True Wrestling. We even have
an iPod stopwatch.
Yeah.
If you don't have one, get one. They're about $400 for 32 gig. Or you can go $500 and buy the 64 gig. Anyway,
the link for Apple will be in the description box below.
Yes.
Kidding. All right, then we move into our next match, which is also a Bound for Glory series match, but points only count for Morgan and Rude, I believe.
I think so. I don't know.
Because I know Crimson didn't. I know all said and done, when they picked up the win, Crimson did not get points on the leaderboard.
No.
Only Matt Morgan did. Well, we see Matt Morgan and Crimson go against Beer Money. And I really thought we were going to see James Storm and Alex Shelley, but Robert Roode, cleared or not, he said, I'm going out there and fighting.
Yeah.
And you could tell Robert Roode wasn't ready.
No. Unfortunately, I was in my computer chair, and Impact was just boring me up until this point. I actually woke up, I actually fell asleep as Beer Money was making their way to the ring. I woke up as the match ended when I saw Morgan and Crimson celebrating for the
JC's also been pulling all-nighters on Xbox Live. Hit him up at
Yes.
JC space X space Styles. He will
either accept or decline, depending on who you are.
and he will rock you in any game you see fit.
Well, Modern Warfare or Black Ops.
Yo, I'll give it to you, dude. You got me in most games, except remember when we were kids, man, and I bet my Super Nintendo versus your Game Gear in a game of Mortal Kombat, and I actually won.
Yes.
And I actually won the coin toss. If you guys wonder who does the intro each week, we actually do a coin toss, and I actually finally won. But moving on, we see Morgan and Crimson pick up the win. This was actually a good contest. I gotta say that Morgan and Crimson worked very well together. I know you missed it,
yeah,
but Morgan and Crimson worked very well together. Beer Money was still strong as ever. We saw James Storm fly like a cruiserweight, man. He jumped right off of Robert Roode, flew right over the top rope, flew like a cruiserweight. You can see Roode was really favoring the shoulder. Yet again, he wasn't cleared. But Morgan and Crimson picked up the win. Morgan got 7 more points.